Get going. It's 6 o'clock. We'll call the Sartell City Council meeting to order for Monday, October 14th. Please rise for Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, next order of business tonight is the agenda review and adoption. I'll take a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. We have a special presentation tonight. We have Quilts of Honor Police presentation. Chief Silliard.
Mayor, members of the council, I just wanted to welcome all of our people from Quilts of Honor here tonight. They wanted to take some time to present quilts to our officers who haven't received them yet. They've presented many other ones to our officers and mainly veterans too, but they do this in honor of veterans and first responders. So I will invite Cindy up.
Thank you for letting our quilt group come in for the presentation this evening. My name is Cindy Cleve, and I have been a presenter of Quilts of Valor and Quilts of Honor for 15 years. Our group mostly honors the central Minnesota area. This Quilts of Valor Foundation was started about 20 years ago to say thank you to the veterans for their service, sacrifice, and welcome them home. 3 years ago, the Minnesota chapter included the Quilts of Honor, which include doctors, nurses, members of the police and fire departments, and outstanding volunteers in our community. When I was at the Sartell Middle School last year for the Veterans Day presentation, we honored 2 people from the Sartell Police Department. We wanted to thank all of the force, but we didn't have enough quilts. So I shared the story with Carol Ann, a fellow quilter that lives in Sartell. She talked to Jackie, Lori, Colleen, and Julie, and they offered to buy all the fabric and piece of quilts if I would do the long arm stitching. So our journey began for the 13 quilts. I also like to recognize another local group, the Cut Ups, who contributed 2 of the quilts for this effort. They set out to find these fabrics, some blue and yellow, some red, white, and blue, some outdoor wildlife fabric, and feminine colors. Their creativity and passion come together to create these special quilts. When we piece and sew these quilts, it's a way to express our gratitude to each of you for your commitment and dedication to serve and protect us all. Many times, your jobs can be thankless, and you may feel unappreciated. But from the bottom of our hearts, we want to let you know how much your service is appreciated. And these quilt is a hug from us. So we're going to start. We have some of the quilters that made them. This here is Julie and Lori, and they're going to be our first little group on quilt number 1, and it's going to Steve Matthews. So Steve, would you like to come up? All right. Our next one is going to be Sandy and Lori are our presenters there, and it's going to be for Jordan Miller. Now, I don't know each of you personally, so I'm guessing your colors, so hopefully we are okay with it.
Matches your eyes.
Our third one is going to be Colleen and Elizabeth. She even told me her name. Standing in for Carol Ann because she had surgery on her hand. Can't lift that. And that is going to be quilt number 3, and that is for Logan Eck. Logan.
Will you just grab it for him?
Not here? Okay. Then maybe I have to switch that. But okay, number 4 is somebody also who's not here, Jake Walters. but let's show it to him anyway. If you just want to open that one. And he, I want to say, is a U.S. Army veteran also. So he would land under our Quilts of Valor, Quilts of Honor. Our number 5 quilt is going to be Carrie Bonfield. Oh, we got it sideways, but that's okay. You at least get the idea. There we go. And Sandy and Lori are going to do, oh, I went out of order. No, it's number 13. That's why I say I went way out of order. And it's going to be for Jill Lundquist. Okay, I'll try to get back on track here. We are on number 6, maybe? Is that right? It is? It's going to be for John Batterberry, Julie, and Lori. Okay, the next group, whoever wants, it is going to be number 7, is Rob Lyon. Quilt number 8 can be anybody. It's going to be Laurie and Julie. Okay, Sandy and Lori. Oh, I said the names wrong, maybe. Is Derek Whitehead. I know, I saw him right away. We're going to go to number 12. Anyone who wants to do it, if you guys want to do number 12? And it's for Emma Brown. Is Emma here? Okay, this one's going to be Julie and Lori. It's going to be number 11. And it's for Alan Sanka, or Santa. Okay, Brad's not here, right? Brad's not here. But I think I missed one that is. Did anybody get missed? Okay, what's the name? Oh yeah, I have you. Way up here, it was under number 4, but you're going to be number 9. Yep. And that one is for Kurt Gross. Did I miss you? Did I get you? You got the red, white. Okay, did I miss anyone else? Okay, then the other 2 are going to be for Brad Cadillac, and was the other one Logan Eck?
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we just want to tell you that we really do appreciate you, and if you're having a bad day, then this is the hug. You just go to the quilt and feel better. Thank you for letting us come in.
Thank you so much.
No, this doesn't mean you get a napping policy.
Council will give him just a moment to clear out. Council, next is open forum public comment. We did not have anyone register. Next is approval of city council minutes. We had September 23rd regular council and September 30th special council. I'll take a motion on both of those.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve both September 23rd and September 30th. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. On to consent agenda. We have items A through F. Take a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda A through F.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve consent agenda A through F. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. We have no new business tonight. We have one item under old business, which is policy governance activation. I'll turn it over to Anna.
Awesome. Tough to follow the quilts of honor. So I hope this is just as riveting. Policy governance activation, I'm going to walk through a short presentation and help educate everybody in the room, anybody who's watching, and then also help remind council of how we got here today. So you might recall that we began this whole journey back in September of 2023 when staff made a valiant effort at policy governance on our own and presented a policy draft to council at that September 8th meeting, which was really mostly representative of the procedural guide that you guys are looking at tonight, but also lacked the 4 core policy areas. At that time, Councilmember Meyer, who is unable to be with us tonight due to business matters, referred us to Stacy Shulgren, who is here with us tonight from MNB. Stacy was somebody that Jed had worked with from St. Cloud Financial Credit Union. They implemented policy governance, and so he had extensive experience with her and recommended that instead of staff trying to implement this on our own, that we begin working with Stacy and establish a consultant agreement. We signed that agreement technically it was November 13th, but November 1st backdated it going through May 31st of 2025. And then we do have the option to extend it through October of this 2025 year to be able to have 1 year of implementation training with Stacy as we go through implementing the actual policies that we're activating today. So our work began with our very first workshop on this item November 13th. You might recall that you all had 9 total special meeting workshops where we reviewed this, most of them 3 to 4 hours in length. In addition to that, myself and Stacy held 3 all-day one-on-one trainings where I learned policy governance. And then we had 7 1 to 2 hour policy meetings between myself and Stacy as I was learning this model and getting caught up and we were developing policies. So countless behind the scenes hours of preparation, policy, and report drafting. That's in addition to the initial contract amount, which was just under $40,000. So wanted to just congratulate you all and walk through that timeline of events of both the commitment of your time and energy and knowledge to this new model, but then also a significant investment of our time and financial resources here for the city as well. So today we are ready to activate something we've been working on for almost a year now. And then going forward, we'll begin the orientation of new council members, which is something that we'll have to get in a regular cadence on as we welcome new council members. So what is policy governance? I'm not going to read off that definition up there, but really it exists in order to translate the wishes of an organization's owners into organizational performance. It's designed by John Carver. You can see kind of the flow of policy governance there of community's wishes, which build into the council's governing policies, which then are delegated to the city administrator and down to staff. but really setting up that thorough governance model so everybody has clear accountability but clear empowerment to complete their role of their job, whether you're elected or a staff member. A couple of the key principles of policy governance that we have learned. The first one is ownership, and for us, our ownership is our community members. Second one is council holism, so the council represents as a whole. You all speak as one voice together and all hold the same weight in speaking. The 4 core policy areas, which we will get to in this presentation, and then how do we monitor performance? So those are the monitoring reports that we will be reviewing actually in workshop and really determining, is the interpretation reasonable, and then does the data demonstrate compliance? And that really is what monitors the performance and shows accountability. If there's anything that anybody watching, because I know there's probably hundreds of people paying attention right now, that they take away from tonight, it's the 4 core policy areas. These I've been ingrained in, you guys have all been ingrained in, and it's the 4 core policy areas that are really critical for activation tonight. So it's ends, which is 1.0, which is what do we want to accomplish? Council governance process, how do we work well together as a council? Executive limitations, how do we empower our leaders but give a set of boundaries so they know what's out of bounds? And then delegation linkage, how does the council work together and delegate to the leadership within the organization? And you can kind of see how these all ebb and flow together. So we will go through each of the 4 core policy areas, as I just mentioned on the previous slide. It's really the foundational aspect of policy governance. So ends policy, the executive limitations, which includes monitoring reports for monitoring performance, a council calendar for determining when those monitoring reports are due, council administrator delegation, which includes council appointments, or making revisions of those council appointments, and then our governance process, which includes multiple items, many of which we already had drafted, but just needed revisions after going through governance process. So procedural guide, code of conduct, our agendas, our memos, and our council meeting dates. So I'll walk through each one of these, but just wanted to call out the items that we're asking for approval tonight with activation. The first core area is the ends policy 1.0. This defines in writing the council's expectations around the intended effects to be produced. So this is decisions about effects, recipients, and worth are considered ends decisions. So not means, but ends. Means are delegated to staff. The ends is really determined based off of what your ownership is telling you they want. You might recall that earlier in the year we did the National Community Survey, and that was the council's way of linking to the community and determining what ends you wanted to establish. From there, the staff established operational strategies. The ends do have 3 monitoring reports that staff are required to submit to you for monitoring performance of those ends. The 3 monitoring reports are 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 related to infrastructure, the ecosystem supporting services for safety, well-being, and quality of life, and then the financial investments. We, again, will be bringing those one at a time throughout the course of the year per your council calendar. The executive limitations is probably one of the most critical items of policy governance as it relates to accountability. This is the council defining in writing its expectations about how we will operate as an organization. We talked in our training about a football field and that this is essentially setting the out of bounds. This is where you throw the flag, it's out of bounds. And the reason why you proscribe on these and you limit and you set that boundary for out of bounds is because ideally and effectively you would have way more items for the good that staff wants to do, and you would have pages upon pages upon pages for that, where the out of bounds is a little bit more clearly defined in a set of policies. This is also an area that you will see monitoring reports on that staff have to report on throughout the year per the council calendar. And you can see all of them listed up there that staff is required to monitor performance via monitoring reports on, 2.1 through 2.9. Everything from treatment of residents and customers, treatment of staff, financial conditions, budgeting, asset management, city administrator succession, employment practices, communication and support to the council, and planned and purposeful development. And again, each monitoring report is reviewed annually per our approved calendar. We did also discuss in our trainings that in the first year, we will review every monitoring report once at workshop and then officially at the regular meeting for compliance. City Council Administrator Delegation is the council delegating the means of the operational organization to the city administrator. This defines that relationship and how that will work. There's not monitoring reports associated with this particular policy. It's council self-assessing. And then the governance process is the final policy. This policy defines how the council will work together amongst itself, its governing style and its processes as an elected body. This one, again, does not have monitoring reports. The council will self-assess on it, but it does include probably the largest amount of new council items for us. Again, most of these already existed. They're just in a new revised format per policy governance. So you'll notice in your packets, it includes the procedural guide, the code of conduct, the council appointments, the agendas, the memos, and the council meeting dates. I'm just going to briefly touch on each one of those items. The procedural guide covers items such as council orientation, council roles and responsibilities, meeting procedures, monitoring performance, agendas, packets, public input, staff relations, and rules of order and council decorum. Much of this was already established in your council policies. It just pulled it all together in a newly formatted procedural guide and then cleaned it up to align with policy governance. The code of conduct is referenced in the procedural guide. You might recall that the governance process, we had extensive conversations about the governance process being the council's accountability to each other. The code of conduct is the public's accountability of the council and of commission members of what are their acceptable activities and behaviors as elected bodies or as appointed members. We went through multiple renditions of this when we actually held a public hearing on March 11th, and since then, council ultimately decided to model this off of a more similar version to a regional community. I think it's based off the city of St. Joseph, and on a more attainable version and shortened version, and then it would live in our ordinances under Title I. Council appointments, the governance process holds only one committee, which is the governance committee. It's held by the mayor and acting mayor to review and set the council activities, linkage with the community, and then also reviewing agendas. So this new council appointment sheet that you see in your packets removes the remaining committees and then establishes the governance committee. The new agendas and memos per the governance process, which will go active after this meeting. So you'll notice that, and for anybody watching, anybody in the press, you will notice new agendas and memos. The new memos will require significantly more detailed information and data behind staff decisions proving compliance. And then lastly, you'll notice up there the council meeting dates. This is something that we do annually right around this time of the year where we set the council meeting dates for the following year. So you'll notice the council meeting date sets those, but you'll notice 2 additional dates on there. Most often it'll just be 1, but for this year it's 2. We determined that to monitor performance for the city administrator, we would set a closed meeting as a part of those council meeting dates. And so the current one that you have in your packets has the 2024 date and then the 2025 date on it as well. It pre-schedules those as closed meetings, and that will just be something routinely done to monitor city administrator performance annually via that closed meeting. As I mentioned, the way to measure performance through this and the accountability is of both the ends policies and the executive limitations is through our monitoring reports. Staff has to show and council needs to review for any reasonable interpretation. We have to show data behind that interpretation and then determine compliance as yes or no. We do intend after this meeting to have our first workshop to gain a better understanding of those monitoring reports and make sure that the council calendar is aligned with the cadence that you would like to see as you see each one annually, once per year. And just a reminder, and publicly to state that the intent is not that these compliance or that these monitoring reports will come back all roses and butterflies and always being in compliance. That is highly unlikely, as there are factors that will limit staff's ability to do that, such as budget or staffing. But the purpose of it is to show accountability and progress towards the items and to call out specific areas where there might be limiting factors to show greater awareness to the council. The next steps, obviously all of us continuing to learn and grow in this model, and something that we've worked together in the past 12 months and will continue to work together over the next 12 months with Stacy by our side as we learn and grow. It'll be really key to orientate the 2 new council members that we will be welcoming in January and helping them to understand this model. Understanding monitoring reports in our next workshop, that's the way to review performance, and so really making sure we have a clear understanding of those and the expectations. But then more than anything, it's a opportunity for us tonight to celebrate and congratulate everybody for their hard work in this. I do want to ask Stacy to come up to say a few words, but before she comes up, I thought I would share a few words myself. So I just wanted to express my gratitude to the council for allowing us to do this over the past 17 years, which is how long I've been doing city administration to some degree. I have worked extensively and exclusively with elected bodies and public entities. Throughout this experience, I've observed that one of the most critical aspects of organizational morale is the ability to foster collaboration both between staff and elected officials and amongst the elected officials themselves. I have encountered numerous models and trainings designed to address these challenges, and we have participated in numerous models and trainings to try to address these challenges. After a year of developing the framework of this policy governance with all of you, I can confidently say that there is no other model that provides a more effective balance between accountability and empowerment. This approach has allowed our team to enhance efficiency, productivity, and overall effectiveness by clearly defining our roles and boundaries. Knowing where limits lie has allowed us to focus on what we do best with the freedom to innovate and excel. I think you've all seen this in the recent recruitment of Niron Magnetics. Additionally, I have witnessed significant growth in the relationships among council members and seen our governance system leverage authority in data-driven, impactful ways to measure performance. Your decision to invest in policy governance has not only transformed our operations, but has re-energized my career in ways that I could not have anticipated. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the council for the foresight and effort required to implement this model. It's been a rewarding journey, and I believe that other community boards, both locally and regionally, would benefit greatly from following by your example. This experience has been transformative for me, personally and professionally, and I'm excited about what the future holds with this framework guiding us. I've learned more over the past year than I have in the rest of my years and career as combined, and I look forward to building on this foundation in years to come. So thank you for this opportunity. It has truly been thrilling for me. It's been an excellent opportunity to be a part of, and let's get to work. Stacy, you get to follow that. I had it written out. I was cheating.
That's all right, but I still need to give you a hug, so.
Oh. I'm gonna step to the side.
Yep.
And fall over.
You know, you have all been operating with, remember my saying, a foot in both worlds for quite some time now, as you understand how this new framework works, but yet you're living in the responsibility of where you've been and how you've operated. And tonight marks a big transition to not have to be in both worlds at one time. It's stressful to operate there. So that alone is great reason to celebrate. So congratulations for a lot of hard work, a lot of time spent really thinking about how these decisions in this policy framework is going to impact your work and the work of the organization. That's some impressive work that you've all done. And I have been with many governing bodies over the last 20 plus years. So good job. To those hundreds and hundreds, I think you said, of people that are watching. I hope that you hear and see demonstrated in the coming months the positive impact that this will make for your city. Know that that your city administrator has worked harder than literally every other city administrator, CEO, executive director type I have worked with. She is so far ahead of where everybody else has been at this stage. That's saying something. I've talked about the mountain she's had to climb, and she has climbed it like you wouldn't believe. And again, your work, for those of you that are watching out there and listening to what this council has been doing, they have always questioned along the way, is this the right choice? Is this gonna be the best thing to do for this town? They're not sleeping their way through this process. So I'm looking forward to celebration tonight. I'm looking forward to you taking on the next step of actually living in this model, and it has been my privilege to work with all of you so far. So thank you.
Awesome. So with that, I am gonna reiterate or go through the list of items that will require approval tonight. Council can take them either as one entire item, or we can go motion and second for each one individually, or we can take groups of them. You guys can choose. They are yours to approve or make final edits on. So as a reminder, the final items tonight for policy governance activation would include the ends policy, executive limitations policy, council administrator delegation policy, governance process policy, so those are your 4 core policies, the council appointments resolution, the Title I, Chapter 5 Code of Conduct, the procedural guide, the council calendar, the council agendas and memos, and then the council meeting dates through 2025, which does include one date in 2024 for the closed meeting for the annual performance review of the city administrator at the end of this year. I do have those in a particular order because the procedural guide references items above it. So if you don't approve the items above it and approve the procedural guide first, it might not make sense if you wanted to make edits. So if we want to maybe start with the 4 core policies, or if you guys want to take them all at once, I'll leave it up to you guys. And I can take minutes from up here.
Council, is there a desire to take them all at once, or does someone have one that we want to break off?
I'm fine taking them all at once.
Seen a consensus on that. The only one that I would question is the 2025 calendar. Normally we set that in January for the year to come based off of, at some points we've got like that March meeting based off calendar availability.
Yeah, we normally set it in, like this last year we did it in November, predicting the upcoming. We do have the March one on there for spring break. And so we're a little bit ahead of schedule, but it does include, shifting everything for holidays. So that bumps it to like a Tuesday on any of those. We do have the spring break one on there. We can always cancel meetings if we don't have content, but we do have every month. The only month that does not have a date would be the second meeting in December.
Which is
typically falls
typical.
around.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the only one I would call out, council. But again, I think to Anna's point, we can go forward with it now, and future council can amend in January if they see fit. Otherwise, I would take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
There's a motion to approve as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just say that I appreciated Stacy's guidance over the past 9 or 10, whatever it is, and Anna's leadership getting us to this point. I agree. I think this model is going to help ease transitions as you see council members coming in and out of the dais, and despite, I guess, an intimidating amount of material, I do think it's going to position the city well into the future. So thank you both. And thanks to fellow council members for everybody's work.
Yeah, I'd add on to that just briefly that it has been a big lift. And I think it's been mostly on staff to this point. I think the biggest lift is now flipping over to council and 2 council member elects really starting in early November to get up to speed. And so I think there's, for those that are watching or listening on it, I know Anna talked about, hey, it can be scary, there's a lot. Through the course, we have questioned, challenged, been thoughtful of what is the right model for Sartell. And I guess me personally, I felt like we've got to start somewhere. And so I'm on board in supporting this. But I would call out that it remains, and likely will for most of 2025, pretty fluid and adaptable to make sure we get it right. And I think we all are burned in our minds of this football field. And what does that look like? It probably looks different to all of us. And the important part is that the five of us that sit here come together to define what that football field is and make sure this is successful into the future. So thanks for all the work from both of you and any other staff that was involved. And again, as Councilmember Smith said, I thank the council for our involvement and leadership on this. I will call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. Department reports. We have PD.
Mayor, members of the council, you have my monthly report. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for PD? Thank you. Next up is fire.
Mayor and member of the council, you have my report. Any questions about my report?
Council, who wants to start? Any questions for fire? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Engineering, Public Works.
Mayor and members of the council, you have a report. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for engineering or Public Works? Looks like it's cold over there. All right, council commission updates.
None at this time.
City council committee updates, miscellaneous business. Tim?
Just wanted to say we had a very successful open house at the public safety facility, the police department and fire department actually. Put on a great show. A lot of people there from the public showed up. It was a wonderful, wonderful night, and Fire Awareness Week for all the kids coming to school. That was a big lift, so I appreciate that from Chief Assist. What do I call you now? Interim Chief Dingman. Thank you for your work on that. That was great. And Stacy, thanks for your help on this. It was quite a undertaking. So, and happy birthday, Carrie.
Nothing. Happy birthday, Carrie.
Alex? Couple highlights from this past week. One is I think it was Tuesday, we had State of the City, and we had Niron Magnetics in town, who shared about a 5-10 minute presentation of their business, what they're producing, how they're producing it. And so I know on our website we've got that, or we'll have that shortly. It's about a 10-minute clip. I'd encourage anyone that has questions on the Niron Magnetics partnership there to watch that and get an understanding of who they are. And then Thursday we were invited down to their corporate headquarters in Minneapolis. A couple of us were able to attend there, and it was super inspiring to meet different individuals from all walks of life, some board members of Niron, other state and federal partners of ours, to highlight what they've heard of Sartell. And on the wall in front of everyone was a great gift that students at Sartell High School gave to Niron, and so they're displaying it proudly. And Sartell just showed extremely well down there. So super fun for those of us I know that were there, and it was, leaving there was like, wow, Sartell showed up big time when it came to Niron, and couldn't be more proud of how we were able to achieve that. So thanks to everyone involved in both those events. And I will call for a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.